What's good, friendly ghost, and welcome back to the stage of history. We're right near the end, and today it's a bit of a complicated choice because I could go all the way until the end of the game today, but there's so much in the middle that I want the end to kind of be its own thing. I'm going to show up from the divine tree, and we're going to go all the way till the end of the character battles. And I'll say off from the jump that there's not much difference in any of those character battles. It's just that there's so many of them and I don't want to skip it. On one hand, I'm just comparing like major differences in boss fights and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I don't want to like skip the feeling that this is a playthrough, get too much lost in the sauce. So I'm going to go through that. I'm going to show it. You may skim through it a little bit. But I'll also all the fights and I'll talk about them, as per usual. Now, before we get started, big news, the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita / PSP stores are closing down. So what this effectively means is on July the 2nd, which is when the PS3 store closes down. Starting July the 2nd, you will no longer have a method to play The Legend of Dragoon ever again. That's what this effectively means. Starting July the 2nd, this year, July the 2nd, you will no longer have the ability to play LOD from a digital download. Which means the only way that you can possibly play that game and a lot of other PS1 games and even some PS2 games would be if you own a disc, a working disc from 25 years ago, and a working system from 20 to 25 years ago. Both of these are good luck to you if you've managed to pull that off. But the chances are that you won't have them working in perfect mint condition. The disc, which you need 4 discs, you need all 4 of those discs to not be scratched or screwed. You need the system to be working flawlessly. And then of course you're going to need the ancient cables and the ancient TVs to hook them up accordingly. If you don't have all of that, if you're not jumping through all of these hoops, you will not be able to play that game. You will not be able to play LOD from this point on. So that's pretty big news. Pretty major news. Now I have a lot of questions because I'm not too sure what all of this entails, because I have a lot of digital games. I had a lot of digital games, especially that I got this year and the previous year. The past 2 years I bought quite a few because they're closing down the store. You're not going to be able to download anything from the store. But here's the thing, a lot of the games that you buy, they don't all fit on a system, so you have to like leave some off of your hard drive and they'll be in your library on the PlayStation Store. So you go log into the PS Store and you can re-download the games that you've already purchased. Now with the store closing down, what does that mean? Will you still be able to re-download the games that you've already purchased? That's the question here. Or are those games that you already purchased going to be thrown away? Meaning, is Sony going to steal your money? That's the question I have, and the question that many people have, because I have quite a few games that aren't on my system right now, but I technically have already purchased, and I just don't have enough room to put them all on my system and my memory card all at once. But come July 2nd, this is going to be, I'm going to have to get all the games that I want and create the build that I want going forward for the rest of eternity. So, and we don't even know that. Will we even be able to play our games at all? Or will they just toss it all away? Now if they do that, they're going to have a hell of a problem on their hands. Like, that is not going to go smoothly. It's already not going to go smoothly if we lose the games that we've already purchased. So it's already a very rocky thing to do. You know, even if they didn't take any games of our purchases away, it's already a rocky situation. It's already rocky. So we'll see how that pans out. But since there is a deadline happening, I have a question, because there's a couple of games that I do want to get and I do want a chance on. I'm going to need some help for games that you guys and gals may think that I'll be interested in, slash games that you'd want to see, slash you know, blah blah blah, etc, etc. There's only one game that I can think of that I want to get and at least try my hands at before everything goes down to shitting birds, and that's Vagrant Story. I've been really peeping that one out, you know, and I'm really feeling it. I may not try it out immediately, but I definitely want to check it out, you know, before it's all said and done. So that's one game that I want to get. I already got Chrono Trigger. I've heard that that's the best game of all time. I got that like a couple of months ago. I got Final Fantasy VII. I still haven't finished that. I already have that. I have Tomb Raider 2. I have Maximo. I have, you know, I have Soul Calibur 2, you know, HD. I have, I got Tomba 1. I got Tomba 2. I haven't played those yet. You know, and I'm thinking about getting Tomb Raider 3 and Tomb Raider 1, the original. I don't know. I need a couple more games that oh yeah, Crash Bandicoot 1. I have Crash Bandicoot 1 that I haven't played either. So I need a list of games that is going to be, you know, up my alley a little bit, and I'm going to check them out. Vagrant Story is one that I'm thinking I'm, you know, immediately going to get and grab if it's even still up. I kind of want to check out Final Fantasy VIII, but it's like there's tons of options and ways I can get that. I don't have the West to get that. I don't know. But yeah, I would like to know a bunch of games that may be interesting or that I may be interested in that I should probably at least check out before the whole thing closes down. So yeah, that'll be appreciated, and you know, we'll see. We'll try to make like the perfect build for the PS3 console before the store closes down. So that we'll do that probably soon. But we'll get back into this JP comparison playthrough. Now, this is going to be the second to last vid. I'm going to be editing the next vid like immediately after I do this, so let's get into it. Before we get started, I accidentally deleted my boss fight against the Divine Dragon. I said that I was going to kick its ass, and I meant it, and I in fact did it. I did it, but I deleted it on accident. I didn't realize it, but it happened. I deleted it, but I did beat him. I beat his ass. You're just gonna have to trust me on that, and I'll just tell you how. You just special, and you know, that's just how you beat him. It's a lot of spell animations and all that. You know, it's not a very interesting watching experience. So you know, maybe it's for the best. Also, another thing I want to mention before we get into this is that I didn't want to say it, but in this session it really hit me. It really got to me. Is that the combo timing, the addition timings, I am halfway, 75% way sure that is different. I'm 75% sure that is different. Now, I'm not sure if it's just because of frame rate issues. I feel like there are a lot more frame rate issues when I play the JP version, or it could just be that the timing is a lot tighter and less forgiving. Now, it could be one of those two things, but I am 100% 75% sure, 100% 75% sure that it's different, because I almost never drop an addition in the American version. But over here, I'm like struggling, and I'm doing the same thing, but maybe I'm just making excuses. Okay, so you're gonna get into this long cutscene sequence, this long hype cutscene sequence that I'm not quite sure if I like in Japanese or American more. I think I like the American voices more for this scene. For the yeah, maybe. But this is a cool scene nonetheless, and I'll check you guys out, and we'll get to talking about the Imago, the butterfly bug boss fight after these cutscenes. Stay cool. Alrighty. So, Imago, the bug, he has 3 transformations. Technically 2, but 3 because there's 3. Now, the biggest change with this fight is that he has a crap load of HP. And just to put it in length, the fight took about 30 to 40 minutes. No, actually, I timed it. The fight was 28 minutes long. And you know, that's just a long ass fight. That's just long. Especially because this is a no item shop challenge and I have no prayers at this point in the game. I have no prayers from this point going into the end of the game. And I have to not lose a party member on any single fight to compare both versions accurately. So just to give you a little tip of what we're dealing with and how hard this is going to be. No prayers, meaning I can't lose anyone. Not even once. They just have to live. It's just nuts. It's nuts. It was not easy. So yeah, this fight, 28 minutes of this guy having instant KO abilities. It's not. It's a very scary thing. Yeah, I lost about 3 times total. But yeah, that's really the only difference, is that he has a crap load much more of HP. And he also hits a crap ton harder. Now, even from his first phase he can knock somebody out. You know, so that was the toughest part, like figuring how I should approach it. Because you don't have to do anything. You just turn your brain off and just keep hitting them. But here, you know, he'll actually knock you. He'll send you flat. So that was a change. I had to get used to that. And like, okay, I spend all of my stuff on the first phase, and then I have enough time to get it back because he has so much more HP. You know. So that was the main adjustment, is learning how to deal with that and then get it back before he goes into his third form, because the second form is just free, and then his third form he has instant kills and all this and that. So that's basically it. And yeah, I guess check it out, and we'll catch you back up when we get to the moon. See you in a minute. Alright, now we go into these character fights. Miranda is the first one up. Now I have to mention that because these versions are so drastically different now, especially now at this point in the game, now that we have the psychedelicness that drastically changes how you approach both games. So my mentality was different during these character fights. For one, I bothered to change the equipments and their moves and this and that, before going to each fight in JP. But in NA, I was just like, screw it. I'll just go in, just go in. I didn't bother changing anything. On JP, you have me like equipped and cautiously playing it, and on the upper right in NA, I didn't change squat. They're still on their beginning stuff, and that's something I have to mention real quick. These character fights aren't that different, but with that in mind, I think that the fact that I did equip in JP and didn't in NA, the comparison is a bit off. They still hit harder in JP even though I equip them. So even though they're more prepared, they're still taking more. So I don't know how much more exactly it is, or if it even matters. I think these fights are percentage based. But the main difference being the psychedelicness, because that's not a one-shot maneuver anymore. It's not even close. JP is like playing Monster Hunter. You have to find a way to bring down the beast, and you have to do it with all the groundwork that the game has laid down before. The way that they want you to play it, not the way that the game-breaking NA version allows you to play it. So now you have to like go through the groundwork and figure out how to challenge them. It's that sensation when you lose in the NA version and you go to your thinking board and you're like, okay, what could I change here? What can I change here? What can I change there? You're just doing that non-stop in JP. It just never stops. So that's the main difference in all of these character fights and pretty much the entire game, but especially once you get the sight bomb. So I'll leave it at that. And of course, I think that they're faster in JP as well. Faster, hit harder. That's basically all I can say about this one, and we'll move on. Yes. Now the Claire fight, there is nothing noticeable that I can say that's worth mentioning. Just the psych bomb ordeal is not a one shot, so you can't cheese it. That's pretty much it. But you don't need that to one shot her, so you know, it's really not that different. The Congo fight is really pretty much more or less the same. It's just longer for no reason. Probably the most boring fight in the entire game. I have to say this one is just so unnecessary, and it's even more noticeably unnecessary now that you can't one-shot him, you know, and it's just longer. It's just longer, you know, there's nothing to it. You just hit the button. That's it. Just hit the button, fight over. Alright, so another thing that I'll mention is that since I'm doing a no item shop challenge, and obviously items are becoming more and more scarce, I always have room because I'm always depleted. The way I would summarize it is that on the one side, I'm full of items that I don't really need, versus the other side where I'm depleted of items that aren't as useful, but I desperately need them. And that's, in a nutshell, both versions of the game once again. Now, Mikhail, the Rose's dragon, right off the rip, I thought he was faster. He's definitely way tougher. Even though it's just a fight that you just guard through, fight, quote unquote fight. It's not really a fight, it's just a long ass cutscene with interaction. Now he's basically just give him a power up, and that's him. That's exactly him. Like, the difference between him during his laser is the difference in numbers is 1728 versus 1380. That's the difference in how hard he hits. So it's basically just him with the power up, except for he doesn't have the defensive, properties of the power up, and that's pretty much it. I think Albert is different. I think Albert is different because it's the hardest one outside of Claire, who can sneakily kill you. So the trick here for me was I didn't want to waste any heals, because damn sure if all of these fights are this long, damn sure don't want to waste them and have to go up against the final boss with limitations. So that is my main concern and why I'm not using heals. And maybe you'll win. He's actually pretty tough if you're not prepared. Yeah, and Miru's fight is pretty tame. Nothing's different about Miru's fight. So that's just it. It's nothing different. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. And I'll hit y'all the next time. In the next episode, it's going to be the final of this playthrough. And I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully these come out great. And, you know, hopefully you guys are having some good and wonderful days. And I'll bid you guys until then. May peace be with. Always keep your heads up. Deuces, dose, both adios. Stay cool. And if you like this content, be sure to show some love. But always be sure to show some love to the people who matter to you. This is ITOwl bidding you farewell and stay cool. Peace, much love, and deuces.